Grab them bad boys. Let me know if you can hear it okay.
Oh yeah, I'm good.
And it's so great working with a filmographer and a photographer when it comes to microphones, because you're one of the few guests I have that absolutely fucking get it.
I know what this is.
And this is the only arm over there. It's a little wonky. So get to where you want. And
That's it.
Yeah, as long as you're comfortable, man. So, Matt, there's a lot of areas to talk about with you, my friend, but we're going right into like the crazy part. So explain to me how a human being hears about a race someone's getting in, and you decide, yeah, I think I'm just going to go do that, and then just kind of show up and do it. And I'm not talking about like a 1 mile race or even a 3K. I mean, who runs half marathons? Who runs marathon races without training?
Well, first off, I just want to say I always like to challenge myself. That's a thing that I do all the time.
You don't say.
I really think that it's like a positive mentality part of me that's like, oh, you know what, you can do that. And then you're like, I'm kind of scared of doing that. And you're like, well, then you'll just do it scared. You'll still do it.
Okay.
And that was the entire, hey, let's sign up for a full marathon. And then I honestly didn't have time to train. There's a lot of other things going on in my life, so nobody has like 4 hours in the middle of the week just to be like, I'm going to go for, actually, there are people who do that, but that's not me.
Yeah, there are people, but let's walk this back from the beginning. So what was the first test? Like, were you at a cocktail party? Were you hanging out with your family and it was mentioned to you and all of a sudden, I'll go do that?
Actually, so my sister, she runs, and she was like, oh, I'm going to run a marathon this year. She's trained and done half marathon. I think she did like 5 half marathons at this point. So
okay.
She's a runner.
Okay.
I am not a runner.
Let's restate that. You are not a runner.
I'm not a runner.
You don't train for runs.
I had to buy shoes specifically for the race.
Okay.
And I even went into Dick's and was like, the guy's like, what can I get you? I was like, so I'm running a marathon. So like, what kind of shoes should I buy? I think his face was like, you don't know? No, I don't know. I have 2 pairs of shoes, flip-flops and like sneakers.
Did your sister think you were just messing around initially? Did she believe it?
I mean, she kind of believed it because she knows that I do.
Because you're nuts.
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
She's like, oh yeah, you of all the members of our family would totally sign up for this and just wing it.
Okay, so where was?
Well, actually, she didn't think that I was going to wing it, so she thought that I was going to train.
So where in the process did she discover that you weren't training?
Oh, pretty much like the second month after signups, and she's like, "Oh, how's your training going?" And I was like, "Oh, we're supposed to be doing that." But I was not doing that. I even bought a treadmill, and I said I would only watch my TV shows if I was on the treadmill.
Okay.
But the thing is, I don't even watch TV to start with.
Yeah.
So I'd never really felt like getting on the treadmill.
Okay. All right. So now, when you said, wait. Let's back us up. The first long run that you did, race. Now, was that 13 miles or was that a full marathon? It was a full marathon.
I didn't even do a half marathon.
You went right to the marathon. I went
right to the full. There's this saying that runners have that's like, oh, if you can do a 5K, you could do a 10K.
Yeah, I hear that all the time.
And if you can do a 10K, you can do a half. And if you can do a half marathon, you can do a whole marathon. So if you do the simple math, if you could do a 5K, you could do a full marathon.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, I guess. Maybe no.
No. It shouldn't work like that.
No.
I was like, hey, if you could do a 5K.
Okay, so let me try. I hate running with a passion.
Oh, I do too.
I mean, I don't know
why I do
power walker. I do it with a weight vest. I'm into it. I mean, I walk every day, but I will tell you, running it's just like torture to me. So I think about like running like 5 miles, and I probably could finish it, but I would just hate every moment of that experience.
I will say that there was some guy when we were signing up. So you go down there and you're getting your bib and all this stuff, and we're walking out, and there's some guy, and he's like, oh, it's your first marathon, talking to my sister. And I kind of like backed away because I was like, oh, I wanted nothing to do with any of this stuff, because I was like, first off, I don't even know if I'm going to finish.
Well, you're not a runner.
No, exactly. Like my mom's trying to take pictures of like, oh, we're at the marathon. And I was like, I'm not going to take any pictures here. I refuse to like pretend that I was even. I literally like got my bib and like stuck it in my pocket. Because I was like, I don't want anybody to know that I'm running.
Let me ask you, did you think at the time that you were going to finish?
Oh, I thought I was going to have like a heart attack on the course. 100%.
The truth comes
Like,
out.
No joke. That's why, like, there's this big thing and all the runners are signing it. And I was like, I'm not going to sign that. They'll be like, oh, here's Matt's signature before he died. Like, here's the last picture of it. So I wanted nothing to do with it.
What did you think you could do? Did you think you would go 3 miles, 5 miles? What did you think you actually could do?
Oh, at least
When
like,
you started?
Yeah, 6.
You think you'd make 6 miles?
I was like, sure. That sounds not bad.
Sounds like not bad.
Not
I
bad.
don't run, but sounds pretty good.
I mean, yeah.
Okay.
I feel like, and now I'm like, oh, I think everybody could do at least like 4 or 5 miles.
Okay.
Oh, man. Yeah. I mean, I signed my daughter up who's never ran before, and she did a 10K. Not training. She was 11.
Must be something in the blood there.
I don't.
All right, so let's see. So where was this race at?
It was down in Disney, which also is like the greatest, easiest place to ever run. Because
That's
the
in
whole,
Orlando. It's like the hottest the sun
it was
and
in
humid.
January.
Okay, so what was the weather like?
70s.
Okay, that's okay.
It was like
you had that
perfect,
going for you.
ideal.
You had that going for you.
Yeah. I mean, it was like ideal. We're going to sweat all day, run this race. You start at 5 o'clock in the morning
Okay.
and you finish at, I don't know.
Let me ask you a
10,
question.
11.
Did you have any adult beverages the night before?
Oh, the carb loading up that everybody like eat pasta,
I've heard
load
about
up.
that,
So
yeah.
my sister's carb loading, and I was like, man, I just want to drink a beer, and she's like, beers are just all carbs, and I was like, oh, so you're saying that I can? And she was like, yeah, and I was like, oh, great, like, yep, oh yeah,
All right, so you're there. You start the race. In your head, you're going, I know I can do like 5 or 6.
Oh, and
no
the worst part is
problem.
I didn't run with her. She was like 3 corrals in front of me because I don't have any time. So I'm in like
Got
the
it.
back with the people who are like
Okay.
walking and like cruisers and who, it's like input your time. And I'm like, I don't have that. And she's like, oh, I run half marathons. Here's my time. Oh, you're in like B corral. I'm in F. Literally was an F corral. She started 45 minutes ahead of me or like 30 minutes before I even. So that's the worst. It's like you're
Did
waiting.
you beat her?
No, I didn't. I did not. In my
That
head, I
would
was
have been terrible. She might have never spoken to you again.
so in Disney, they also have like characters along there. So she stops and like takes pictures with all the characters.
Oh,
And she
okay.
has a good time. The
Okay.
whole time I'm just thinking like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. That's all I care. Keep going, keep going, keep going. And like I was saying, there was a guy who stopped us at signups and was telling, if it's your first marathon, like, man, when you get to mile like 16, you're going to hate your life.
A wall, right?
Yeah, you're going to hit this wall. When I hit mile 16, I thought of that guy and I was like, F that dude. And I was like, he's just a sad old man who can't do this like I can. It was like the negativity in him just like drove me to be like, ah.
Okay, so talk about the moments during that race. Like first 6 miles in, how are you feeling?
Not bad.
Okay.
I had a fanny pack on, and inside the fanny pack was like some gummies, like some energy gummies, and my phone. And dude, I ran with Bose noise canceling headphones on.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't want
Nice.
to hear myself breathe.
Did that work?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I probably was like, but because as soon as you like take your headphones off and you're like, oh my God, is that me? I sound like I'm dying.
You got all right, so you get to 15. You think about that guy, what he said, or 16.
Yeah.
Right? And
Dude, I had a great playlist.
did you just know, like, when you got to, like, when did you know you got this? Like, what?
18.
It took to 18.
18.
Okay.
Oh, you're like, whew, that's it. Like you're over the halfway hill. You're like, dude, I just got like there's a little bit left. We're still like 8 miles left.
All right, so you don't train for a full marathon. So you come home, and all of a sudden you think like, this is a good thing. I might do this again.
Oh yeah.
Now with no training.
Nope. I still don't.
So you just decide, yeah, I think that's a good race to enter. I'll enter, and then I'll just show up on race day and just do my thing.
Yep.
Is that a metaphor for how you live your life?
Oh, 100%. If I'm not winging it, then like I probably don't want to be a part of it. If it's like too structured, then I'm like, that's not. Like, because if I were to run like 24 miles as my like training run, I'd be like, well, I already did it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Like, where's my medal?
So your philosophy is just, yeah, I get that.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I get it for people who are running and racing and like, dude, I'm not here to race. I ain't coming in first. I ain't even coming in 10th. I'm coming in like ahead of the pack, a big pack of people. But like, yeah, I don't want to.
Well, what was your time?
That time was like 4:30.
4:30.
4 hours and 30 minutes. Yeah.
And what was your sister's time?
Oh, she was like 20 minutes ahead of me.
Okay. If you'd beaten her, there might have been some serious family discord there.
Yeah, she would have been mad.
So
but she also probably, she was like really stoked that she thought that I told her, I was like, I'm going to die on this. So if you get a text, or if you don't get a text, just know that I'm somewhere in Disney World dead from a heart attack.
Oh, man.
On this course.
So you did this, and then all of a sudden, it didn't. Let me put it to you this way: doing this accomplishment did not spur you on to become an avid runner and training for runs.
Nope. It spurred me on, like, hey, I should just keep on doing races
when they happen to be.
Yep.
Without preparing for them.
Yep. I ran, like, there's a Pittsburgh 5K that my son signed up for cross country. He's in 9th grade.
Okay.
So he was like, I'm gonna do cross country this year, and the first like meet to get the whole cross country team together was this 5K race, like North Hills area. And so I had to drive him there. So I brought my shoes, brought shorts, and I dropped him off. And then the lady was like, "Oh, are you running too?" And I was like, "You know what? Now that you asked," I was like, "Yeah, let's just sign me up too." And he was like, Dad, you didn't train. I was like, it's a 5K.
Oh, it's so bad.
I was like, yep, I ran that too. It was fun. And I actually caught up to him, and then me and him ran together, and like we ran the last mile together, and I was like, you got this. And then he took off at the end, and he beat me. I'll say that, he beat me.
It just seemed like the most ridiculous thing. But if it's a metaphor for how you live your life.
I just like to wing things and just be like.
Yeah. And so I do as well. And oftentimes I go through these moments where I feel like, I'm probably not doing this right, this life thing, because I'm not planned and scheduled out enough. I'm not efficient enough.
But see, that's the thing, is then when it comes down to race day and you finish, you're like, I did something right.
There's some validation.
Yeah, you're
there.
like, somehow I'm not only doing good.
Yeah.
I'm doing great.
Yeah, I can relate to that. I've had years in business where I did it by the seat of my pants, but at the end of the year, you look at the W-2 in January and you're like, wow, or the 1099. You look at your statement of earnings, you're like, wow, I kind of did that and really didn't have a plan.
I also had no idea what I was doing the whole time.
Now, so let's talk about that. Do you think, because I obviously that story is probably not unique to us. It's probably a certain mentality that's out there. Probably very prevalent in creative types, I'm guessing. Maybe?
Probably.
Kind of.
Probably just wing it and...
Yeah. So you're saying the idea of winging it kind of gets a bad rap?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if it gets a bad rap. I think I like to live in like chaos. If I have like too structured of like, if I go to work every day at 9 and I leave work every day at 5, I don't last long doing that.
Yeah, I dig it.
I'm just like, I need something absolutely absurd to like throw that rhythm off.
Okay.
Because once I start getting in that rhythm, then I'm like, and me and Rocco talk about this all the time.
Yes, and I know you're going to repeat what he says.
Well, what's he say?
Well, the way we're talking about our mutual friend Rocco Cozza, sponsor of this podcast, the Cozza Law Group. He says if things are going okay, I tend to want to throw a bomb in the middle of it just to break it all apart and to see if I can rebuild it differently.
Yes. But I mean, I don't even think if things are going okay. I'm bombs. Just bombs.
Bombs away.
Bombs on top of bombs. And like, pressure player, bombs. Yeah. So it's like, if there's no pressure behind it, then I'm just like, oh, this is too easy.
A lot of musicians talk about, those that have record contracts, they always talk about the writing process, and a lot of them need to have deadlines put on them by management or the record company saying, hey, you need to deliver on this day, because if they didn't have that, they'd never get to it.
No, and
But
then you're
when they have it though, sometimes they do their best writing under pressure.
Yes,
like
because I was gonna say, or else you're just gonna sit there and diddle your songs for a while and be like, well, that's a good song, but maybe we just
that. That never happens.
Yeah, all right.
Overthink things as a musician? Nah, it never has. The creative process? No.
This lick sounds a little bit better. Maybe we'll put this in there instead.
You originally a Pittsburgh native?
No.
Where are you from originally?
I'm from like right outside of D.C. in Frederick.
Oh, yeah.
Which now is considered a suburb of D.C., which I don't think I knew.
I did not know that either.
But apparently, a lot of people who work in D.C. live in Frederick now, so...
Well, that whole area is just nuts. The traffic's nuts down there.
Yeah, exactly.
Big family?
Yeah, I think so. I have two brothers, two older brothers, and a younger sister.
Okay. They all run?
No. No, I have like hippie farmer older brother, and then a EOD tech older brother.
Oh, right on.
And then, I don't know, me and my sister are just pretty, like to think it's normal. But then I'm like, I'm definitely not normal.
What was childhood like for you?
Like normal.
Naturally.
I don't know. We just, my family just traveled a lot.
Okay.
That was like always our thing. So like,
for vacation?
No, both my
do
parents
for
were
work?
teachers.
Oh, right on.
So like, summers off meant like summers off. Like we left and like didn't see home for like 2-3 months.
Where'd you guys go?
Oh, everywhere. We did this one trip across country for all 3 months in a little Chevy Belleville van. It was a 98.
Right on.
No, it was an 87. Sorry.
Oh, they call those things the Traverses or something, right? Weren't they? They're weird shaped vans.
No, it was a big old like what was it, 15 passenger van.
Oh,
but yeah.
What do they call those things? I used to want one of those so bad when I was younger. Don't tell anybody.
It was how I learned how to drive in that van.
Oh, in a maxi van.
Like it was a big old like. You want to talk about parallel parking? Dude, I'm so good at it now. I'll get in like a little like I had an Acura TL and I was like, I can touch.
I'm driving one of those right now.
Yeah, I'm like I can touch the back window. I'm like, this is weird. Like,
did you enjoy travel?
Oh, dude, I love traveling.
When you were young.
Yep, still, always.
Yeah.
If I like stay somewhere for like more than 3 months, I'm like, all right, we're just gonna pack the family up and go somewhere.
Well, out of high school, what'd you want to do? Did you know what you wanted to do when you were in high school?
Yeah.
Or what did you say you wanted to do when you were in high school?
I mean, I was really good at math.
You're one of those guys. And how does that end up creating a creative? That's interesting.
I don't know.
That's weird.
And yeah, tell my math teacher that. She was pissed. She literally said, "You're throwing your brain away to go to art school."
I bet.
I was like, yeah.
I'm in 12th grade.
It's a bomb. That's the first bomb. First bomb of my life right there.
Throwing your brain away to go to art school.
Yep.
Okay. So you went to art school?
Yep, I went for video production.
Oh, okay.
And I almost threw a bomb in that because I started working on movies my sophomore year.
Oh, right on.
And like...
In high school?
No, in college.
In college. Hey, what school?
At the Art Institute.
Oh, right on.
It's defunct now.
Yeah, it is. That's what I hear.
So, yeah, I met some people who were working on a movie. I interned for 1 day, and then they hired me full-time the next day.
Oh, right on.
And then I kind of dropped out of school.
Yeah.
Like I just stopped going.
What kind of movie?
It was Warrior with Tom Hardy and Nick Nolte.
Okay, I know some people that were like... oh my gosh! I'm gonna drop some names on my own show. How about that shit?
Drop some names.
Fashion designer James Hoke was on the show, and I think he was wrapped up in some regards with that movie. I think there was a fight trainer, a professional fighter, Eric Hibbler. I think he was doing something. He was training, I think, Hardy during that movie. Yeah, so just a natural tie-in with that movie.
Yeah.
And the show with guests that I've had on. It's a small world. So they hired you. So the studio production company hired you?
Yeah. I met this guy.
And what did you do?
I was a utility.
What does that mean?
I was a camera utility.
Because you see all the credits at the end of the movie, like, you know.
The best part of it is my name's
best grip.
Not Best Boy.
Best Boy. What's all that stuff mean?
Yeah, it's like the second to the electrician, main electrician.
See?
They don't have like purpose. But I wasn't a union member.
Oh.
I was like 18, 19.
Right on.
And they were like, well, you have enough hours to join union, but if you don't join union, you can't be in the credits of this movie. So I was like, well, I'll keep the call sheets with my name on it.
Did you just didn't want the union?
Yeah, I just did bomb. Just throw a bomb in that.
Were you militant against them?
No, I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And they're like, well, you can join union and come for this. And I'm like,
I get
let's
yeah,
not
why join the union if I'm not sure I'm actually going to do this?
Or it was like, that sounds too easy to like.
Let me take the obstinate way.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, are you guys offering me a nice full-time job in the union and like being yeah, great. I'll see you later.
So what's your thought? What's your memories from that movie? Was there any big learning moments there?
Oh my gosh, there's so many. Rule number 1, know how to wrap a cable. Yeah.
You care to expound on that?
I don't know. They're just cable wrapping, man. Cable management in general. It's a big thing.
Okay.
Running cables, especially when you have like thousands of feet of cabling.
Okay.
It's a big deal.
Okay.
It sounds absurd, but especially when you got it like all.
Okay.
If you were to open my backpack, every single one of even my phone cables are like wrapped perfectly.
A little OCD going on there.
Yes, that's.
So, okay.
From like that, dude, I watch like people get in so much trouble for like like if you ever grab like a video cable and or like audio cables too.
Yeah.
You ever seen somebody do that?
I was told never to do that.
Never do that. See,
I always wondered why, but
it's like across the board.
It is across the board.
You gotta feel it. You gotta feel it when you twist it and you give it some. Yeah, it's a whole.
So were you starstruck on that movie thing?
Oh, no.
But I mean, I would imagine if you're going to Arts Institute for filmography, you want to be a creative.
Yeah.
So this was more of the job then, right? Because you weren't really being able to be.
Oh, it was totally a job.
Yeah.
And I think that's where I was like,
you're bored.
Yeah, I don't want to do this. So I worked on that movie, and then I was kind of like, yeah, I don't want to do movies. Because you see, you're on a set with like a few hundred people.
Right.
And you're just like,
yeah.
You.
So you didn't feel like you were having a big enough impact, or you couldn't be creative, right?
Probably both.
Okay.
And you're just like, I don't want to be just another person on the credits that nobody reads.
So that's how you felt. So at that moment, what did you decide you wanted to do?
Oh, I have no idea.
He's about ready to say like surfer in Hawaii.
Oh my goodness. You know how many times I just wanted to walk away from like video production and, I don't know, be a farmer?
Really?
Probably like 5 times a year. I think when COVID hit the biggest time, I was like, all right, I'm going to be a general contractor. Here we go.
Well, I mean, get outside. You don't have to work right next to people.
They get to build something. I'm just going to build people's houses.
Well, I mean,
I remodeled my own house. I bought a house that's a fixer-upper for that reason.
I'm not surprised.
Yep. I don't like to have downtime. Like if I bought some nice house and I movers moved in all my furniture, and on the weekends I just sat on a couch and I don't know, watch TV.
It'd drive you nuts.
Yeah, like what do people do on the weekends?
I don't know.
Like if you work a 9 to 5,
I do.
Like if you work a 9 to 5 and you go home, what do you do at night?
Yeah, it's funny you said that. It's been so long. I left corporate America in the late 90s, and I remember there was a kind of a weekend thing, Saturday, Sunday was kind of off, and had the Sunday night blues because Monday morning was coming. But then I left that so long ago that I kind of forgot what that was like.
But like every night? So you came home at like 5.
Yeah, I was in sales, so I was a little bit later sometimes. There was a little flexibility, but not much.
But like dinner's ready, and then you're like, maybe watch some.
There was a routine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sucks. Some people love it.
Bomb. Just
yeah. Some people really. There's nothing dynamic about that.
Like some people need that.
I guess.
I wouldn't last 1 week.
Yeah.
Like if I came home at 5:30 and like dinner's being ready and I'm making dinner or like whatever for dinner, and then it's like, oh, hey, this weekend, you can golf.
Katie and Bill are coming over on Saturday. Exactly. We're gonna go see a movie.
I just feel like, instead, I'm gonna jackhammer up the entire basement and relay the sewer.
Really?
I did that. That's something I've done.
You just decided to do it on a whim.
I did it. Yeah.
Yeah. said that we're kindred spirits. I didn't like the way my basement floor was raised. Someone told me there had to be a root under there. So my wife works for the airline. She was gone for 5 days. And while she was gone, I went and got a jackhammer.
Do you own the jackhammer?
I do not. I got it from Home Depot.
Oh, okay.
It was an electric one too. It was kind of weak. But I did it. And I was not a very physical labor kind of guy, but I figured it out.
Yeah.
I figured it out.
Exactly.
And it wasn't the cleanest concrete job when it was done, but I did it.
Some plumber wanted to charge me like, I don't know, $8,000 to plumb in a new full bath in the basement. And I was like, that's cool. PVC costs like $35.
Yep.
This jackhammer is $250. I bought the jackhammer.
Oh, look at you. You're a step above me.
That's why I rented one the first time, and then I was like, but what if I need it again?
So I'm trying to figure this out. Are you, so you're a videographer.
Yeah.
Okay, but you're also, I've seen your gear, I've seen your output. You're also a professional photographer. You may not call yourself that, but you obviously are.
Yeah.
So how did you get from this career? How'd you get to this career from the time you got off of that movie set? I can't imagine it was just this clean slope that you just slid down and poof,
No
there
way.
you were.
Man, there's so many things that I always do backwards. Like, so I worked in advertising.
Ooh.
It was great.
Don't
Loved
tell me
it.
you work for Ketchum.
No.
Okay.
I know somebody who worked for Ketchum.
I'm sure you do.
So
You liked it.
no.
It's like
hated
truth serum on this show. I
hated it.
It all comes out.
But I didn't mind it. But I'm like a pressure player. Advertising, everything was pressure. So it's like
Deadlines.
yeah. But not it's like everybody's gonna die. It's not
It's advertising. For fuck's sake.
It's not deadlines. It's everyone's gonna die. And you're like, what time's the deadline? They're like 10 o'clock. You're like, it's 5. This takes 15 seconds to render. And they're like, yeah, but everybody's gonna die. And you're like, it's not that big of a deal.
Okay.
I think if they ever heard you say that it's not that big of a deal, they would their heads would
bet.
explode.
Okay.
But I got in there because my senior year, I was working on my portfolio project and I didn't show anybody, any of my teachers, anything like that. And they hated that. So I actually was graduating with an F in my portfolio class.
Right on.
Until portfolio review, when you show all your work for the year.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
So there's my work all set out because I didn't want anybody to have any it's subjective. So I don't want little Billy to come in and be like, Matt, I think you should edit it like this. I think it should be like this. I was like, bro, this is my project, so nobody's going to see it until the show. I ended up winning portfolio review.
Okay.
And I got the award. And then the department head came up to me in front of my parents, shook my hand and was like, Matt, you're going to do great things if you stop being an asshole. I was like, I wasn't. And my mom was like, what? My son's an asshole? I was like, I wasn't an asshole. I just didn't want to show anybody my work.
Okay.
And then I put that little plaque thingy on top of my thing. And my neighbor saw it and was like, you do video? You should come to... Literally, it was that dumb.
That's what happens.
That's how I fell into advertising. And that was not even 2 days after I graduated.
So what was your actual position in that advertising firm? What did you do there?
So I started as a video editor.
Okay.
And then they realized that I could shoot really well. And then I became cinematographer. And then I just networked. And then it just
Can I make an observation about what I think about that term today? As we mentioned a little bit off camera, technology's been fantastic for your industry, for the consumer. But at the same time, yes. But at the same time, it's created an illusion that real quality work is easy now, when it's not. And I think we've had this great technology long enough now where I think the average, you look at a great piece of video or cinematic work, and you look at bill after at a kid's school play, and it's kind of easy to see the difference now. It took there was a couple of years I was a little worried, because I think the public's kind of getting it now.
Well,
you get what you pay for.
It ebbs and flows.
It does.
So in 2012, it died hard because cameras, that's when like the first big interchangeable lens camera could shoot HD, and it was like 2011, 2012.
That's about right. Yeah.
And it bombed because now instead of having like full productions with big crews and all this stuff, you're getting some kid out of college who's like, I'll do that same commercial for $600. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So like all the advertising agencies like shit their pants.
It was a shock to the market in general, yeah. And then it vetted itself out.
And it like, so you're at the bottom line. So now everybody's chasing the bottom dollar until they're like, hey, our stuff doesn't look good anymore. And then it's slowly like, well, we got to pay money to get the good. And like it never came back up to like $1 million commercials.
Right.
I mean, there are still 1 million, but it's like, dude, it's a hard push just to get like an actual crew on a set or stuff like that. Yeah. Even now, it's like people are like, oh, I'll shoot your commercial.
There's an illusion
on my phone.
Yeah, well, of course, because Apple's putting out commercials showing how that their phones will make high quality.
There was a thing in like it might have been like 2012 called the Great Camera Shootout, and this company that made like parts for cameras, like little accessories and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So they lined up like an $80,000 camera all the way down in an iPhone, and they shot the same scene with it, and then they put it all up on a screen like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and they brought in these like big directors and cinematographers and was like, hey, tell us which ones look great and blah blah blah. And at some point somebody was like, this is fucked up, you can't do this because you're now comparing an $80,000 camera to an iPhone, and most people in here can't tell the difference. It was like it was dangerous.
No, but here's the thing, though. Like,
but the time it took for the iPhone people to make it look as good as this was tremendous amounts. These people walked in, threw up the camera,
like
hey,
Red and companies like that.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, it looks great. And then the iPhone was like, oh, all right, well, we gotta do this, and we need all these extra people. And
well, without getting, we
perfect.
could.
It has to be perfect.
Well, we could go down the technology rabbit hole, and I won't take that because we'll lose too many folks, but. It really came down with the light would you not agree? The technology improvements in regards to light sensitivity and sensors.
Oh yeah,
and how that translates to pixels.
I mean, Ari has
all that stuff.
The best sensors, and they've always had the best sensors. Like there's stuff that they.
Who is it?
Ari.
R-E-L.
R-A-R-R-I.
A-R. Okay.
Like an Ari Alexa.
Okay.
Some people call them Aries.
Okay, and then that's probably probably in video. That's for video, right?
Straight video. Big cameras. They're nice. That's what like a lot of great stuff is shot on. Like, beautiful stuff.
Is Hollywood shot in today's era with video, and then they render it down to 24p to make it look like that?
No, like digital.
Yeah.
I mean, most of it's shot on. It's all shot on digital now.
So there's no film anymore.
There's still a handful of films.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're still out there.
Okay, because
then they make it like a Surgeons every now and then. Like they come back.
So
depends on who the director is.
I could imagine. So when I was younger, I was really into like watching the differences in the 80s and 90s when video continued to get better. And you could watch it like a sitcom, and I tell my parents, I'm very confident they shot this with video cameras as opposed to film. My parents are like, what the fuck are you talking about? But you could visually tell, and I think now it's just everything was so hyper real and oversaturated and over dynamic, and all the HDR stuff that nothing looks real anymore. Everything's almost too real, if that makes any sense. But I think now the film industry and the television industry, from a look standpoint, have kind of merged.
Well, yeah, I mean,
is that right?
Well, they're putting a lot of money behind TV now, especially with like streaming wars that that's been going on for the past 5 years.
Okay.
So instead of it being like TV was this like, a lot of like Hollywood actors are like, no, I'm not doing TV.
Right.
Now they're kind of like,
ooh. Right. That's changed. Well, the delivery methods are different now too, so they need to go where the money's at.
But they also know that the production value is there.
Got it.
So it's like they're dumb.
Because that probably was part of it too then. Okay.
Why would I want to work on something that they're like throwing peanuts at?
Okay.
Now you look at like the new Lord of the Rings.
It's going to make me look amateurish.
Yeah. No, you're like, no, I'm working on some big shit over here. This is Hollywood. I ain't working on no TV shows. And then the TV shows are like, yeah, we've got like a $5 billion budget. And they're like, That's not bad looking. That's not bad over there.
Was there a landmark piece of production you think that changed, that changed the way, or that maybe, how do I say this, that blurred the lines or maybe pushed television into that realm? Was there something that came out like in 2010 or 2000?
No.
Was Avatar a thing? Like when the first Avatar was shot, was that shot in video or was that shot in...
that was all shot on digital.
That was?
Yeah.
The first one?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I mean, but they're all like technology. I haven't seen the new one yet.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either, but at some point in time...
But everybody said it was like great, and you're like...
Can it get any better?
But
I mean, like, well, how can you notice the difference between like 4 and 8K? Is there a noticeable difference there, do you think? I don't know. Like, in
I don't think anybody
theater,
can tell
maybe.
if I do. Yeah, tell the difference when I shoot 6K and 4K. I have cameras that shoot 4K. I have cameras that shoot 6K. I have cameras that shoot... Actually, the vlog that I did last week, I shot it on a mini DV tape.
That's so cool, though.
That's in 480. Just because. And I exported it at 1080.
Well, you know what's interesting is, like, I'm a little older than you, but when HD became real prevalent in like 2003 and 4, it just was starting to hit and quite pricey. We made this big deal about it, and people loved it up until around 2008, 9, 10, when people got addicted to their smartphones. They were starting to, and they were watching all this video content there, and then no one really cared that much because they were accepting this 280 by 175 screen I have, and that's okay.
So I equate this to my wife, who doesn't care about video or quality or anything like that. We're watching 2007 Stanley Cup playoffs, Penguins, Red Wings, and she turned it on, and we're watching it, and I was like, we're not watching this in HD. She's like, well, I can't even tell the difference. And like back then you had the button that like you could just click OK and it would switch you over.
Yep, I remember.
So I was like, all right, watch this. So she's watching it, and then I clicked OK, and she's like, oh my gosh, I can see the puck.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, the players look super crisp and all that. And I was like, yeah, okay. So now you get it. And she's like, this looks so much better. And I was like, all right.
And now I think we have
4K TVs and nobody watches anything in 4K.
It's nuts.
But back then, like we had 1080 TVs and nobody was watching things at 1080.
My first high def TV was only 720. I think I had a Vizio in 2004 because the 1080p was too expensive.
Yeah, right.
It's like
now I have like 4K TVs all over my house, and I'm like, I don't think I have anything that plays 4K.
We've also accepted the fact that it's okay we were okay with watching a lot of our video content on small devices, which I never saw that coming.
Yeah,
I never saw that coming. Like
So, and there's a recording studio downtown, Big Science. They do a lot of I don't know if you know them.
I know that name.
Jay Green, he's a fantastic guy. So they record a lot of like commercial music and stuff like that. And so he's got a nice system set up so you can play it back and you're like, oh my gosh, this sounds amazing. And then he literally is like, all right, so here's what it sounds like when it's played on like a car radio. Here's what it sounds like when it's played on like a drive-in theater speaker. He literally has a drive-in and it sounds like
all depressed.
Garbage. But at the same time, you're like, you have to make sure the mix sounds good across the board.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, you don't think of that when you're like, oh, I'm going to watch this on my phone.
Right. Well, that's why we were talking before we started about how I was planning to do this podcast, and I was really worried about, 720, 1080, even 4K. What do I do? And then I realized half the people are ingesting this material on their phone or their tablet. And once in a while, people will say, hey, I put it on the Roku at home, watched it, was awesome. So I still want to render it in 1080.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's like...
Good for them.
No, yeah, good for you. Thank you for enjoying the extra hours I spent rendering this show in HD.
You're the real hero here.
Oh, man.
Keeping it alive.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on... I mean, you got an interesting perspective being that you're in media. And to me, I mean, you're definitely in media and you're the creation of media. And we can talk about the creativity process and all that. But what do you think about when you think of media or you say the word media now, Matt, people immediately go to social media.
Yeah.
And they're not the same.
Well, it's like...
Are they?
It's like... I don't know, because when I say social, I don't even use the word media anymore. So I use social. So when I say like, I'm making this for social,
Okay.
That's now going to be spread across YouTube, TikTok,
Right.
Instagram, Facebook. I mean, my Facebook and Instagram are literally linked.
They're the same. Yeah.
Like I said, I haven't even logged into my Facebook in forever.
We're still talking about Christmas all year long.
Always talking about Christmas. So anytime I post something on Facebook or Instagram, it just reposts it to Facebook. So I don't even have to look at Facebook.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's good. It's on my social. It's up. And then, and then people post the same thing that they post from TikTok across to Instagram now, which then if your Instagram's tied to your Facebook, now you're posting one thing across all your socials.
So for business, I can see the advantage.
It doesn't even say it's not even media, because now media has turned into content.
Yeah. So let's talk about that.
That's the buzzword.
Is that a currency? No, content currency.
Content is king from some people.
Content is king.
It's a, I never want to call myself a content creator.
Yeah, that's a thing, huh?
Yeah, but that's totally a thing. That's a thing. I was looking at some company the other day, and they're like, this guy's
hiring for a
lead content creator. And you're like, because back a few years ago, content was copywriting. It was writing. Mm-hmm. So if you wanted content for your website, it was people who are going to make blog posts so that you could ingest SEO.
Yeah, AI do that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't even write a cover letter. I've never wrote a cover letter, but if I were to, I'd make an AI write it.
GPT. Write me a cover letter. Okay.
Write me a cover letter for a cool company. Thanks. But yeah, so content used to be just about filling their website with blogs for SEO purposes.
Okay.
But then content became photos, videos, writing, everything. So now it's
more mainstream. It became a more mainstream activity.
And it became what social is. So I make content. Where can I find your content? Everywhere.
Yeah, it's really.
And in my head, I'm like,
funky.
Yeah, I even feel like I'm too old for that.
You think?
I meet somebody and they're like, yeah, I'm a content creator. I'm like, I'm fucking old.
I think I feel at 57, man. Trust me. I just think I've seen everything. The next thing's coming. I'm like, yeah, I'm getting kind of tired. I don't know if I need to pay attention to this or not.
I mean, it's I had some agency that I was working with. They poked me a lot because they're like, oh, you don't do TikTok. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do TikTok. I was like, TikTok is the
Chinese government.
My kids are on TikTok.
Yeah.
My kids have a TikTok.
And then that got mainstreamed.
And then it kept, and she kept going. She kept being like, well, it's probably because you don't know how to do TikTok. So finally, one day I was like, all right, I'm going to download TikTok. I'm going to make a TikTok. And I made a TikTok. And I had 3 followers and it got 27,000 views. And I was like, I showed up the next day and was like,
I got to learn TikTok.
Just so you know. I made a TikTok and it got more views than all of your TikToks together.
Right on.
And I was like, but the thing is, it still comes back to I made a good video on TikTok and people liked it.
Right.
I was like, it wasn't like I did something special or it was going back to it doesn't matter how little you pay for your cameras and stuff like that. I made a good concept and I put it on TikTok. And my kid was like, Dad, how do you have 27,000 views on your stupid TikTok? And I was like, because it's a good video.
That's the secret sauce, pal.
He thought it was the funniest thing ever. He was like, I swear to God, if I turn this around and it has a K in front of it. I was like, oh, it has a K. 4,000.
Well, it's funny. I don't pay attention to this stuff too much, and all of a sudden my Instagram following started going bonkers, and I'm like, so I started to dive in a little bit, what's doing it? Well, here I just ended up sharing a reel that I thought was great, a little motivational thing. It made sense to me. It really resonated with me, this 17-second reel. I just shared it and I just forgot about it, and then I looked the other day, there was 175,000 shares or some craziness. And I'm like, wait, what? What happened there? So there's no rhyme or reason to it, right?
But if for the same reason that you liked it, other people then liked it.
Yeah, and resonated.
And that's the TikTok that I made was I hit nostalgia, I hit fun, and I hit these 3 topics of I'm going to hit nostalgia, I'm going to hit fun, and I'm going to hit something else, goofy. And so people loved that. Mm-hmm. And then they shared it and it had 100 shares. It had this, and I was like, oh, look, it goes back to just having quality stuff than just like throwing shit at the wall.
I always
it's
had
not a stupid dance.
I'm gonna give away my crazy idea, and it probably is too crazy to make any sense. I don't really mind giving it away, but I always thought if I was bored, I would create a website all about dogs. And I would go out on the web and I would go to all these forums and encourage people to come over to my website, and I'd have places where they could post pictures about their dog, talk about their dog. We could index them. And through all that activity, I think I could create something unique where eventually dog sponsors for food and toys, and
you could
eventually
do that.
It might work.
It would work right off the bat. If you made like a dog Instagram or like a social media for animals. Like, I'm not even joking. It would be so stupid, and you'd be like, why are there people still signing up? Why are there more followers? Why do I now have a bigger network than I ever expected? Dude, because people love their animals. There's so many like Instagrams of like Scrappy the dog Indiana, Scrappy the dog, like, and you're like,
we are a screwy species, aren't we? I mean, we are like...
This is my dog. Look at my dog. Look at my dog get the bone. Look at my dog. It's my dog's 7th birthday. It's my cat's 7th birthday.
It's my iguana's 3rd birthday.
Yeah, exactly. And my iguana is best friends with my cat. Look at the picture of them two talking. I wonder what they're talking about.
Are we getting dumber?
100%.
Are we getting dumber as a species?
I mean...
Or are we just playing along? Is it just all fun and games? I mean, is it...
I like to think it's fun and games.
Okay.
But
yeah, I had this one guy say to me, well, we're getting dumber. Just look at our leaders. And I go, no, I don't think it's the leaders. I think it's like how we blindly follow them. Yeah. Like, it's us. It's not them.
Yeah.
We created them, but really
that's
it's
why
us.
I feel like there's there's a word for it of like, not necessarily fighting back, but there's the people who you're like, that's a real person.
Yeah.
And when you meet those
more of that.
Well, it's people who aren't chasing like a clout or aren't chasing like a fame. Because right now, oh my God, it's
fame
like,
chasing. That's a thing, huh?
Oh my, clout chasing is a thing.
Clout chasing. That's the first time I've heard that saying.
You've never heard clout chasing?
No, I don't got much.
Oh, that's a young.
Oh,
that's
really?
Like younger than me.
I didn't know that.
You know,
my kid's 21, 22.
It's even
he
like,
told me.
I mean,
okay.
But it's like, you know, trying to be cool for the generation. And,
But it comes down to fame. It does come down to chasing fame. Though,
it's 100%
right?
fame.
I mean,
yes.
I feel bad for this is where there is a certain demographic. I guess if I really opened it up, Matt, I feel bad for a lot of people. But there's a certain demographic of humans. I'm guessing the age between 13 and like 22 now.
Yeah.
Females. I feel terrible for them because I feel like they're being absolutely controlled / manipulated, exploited by Instagram.
Yeah.
The culture of Instagram, you know, and there's just nothing that anyone can do about it. It just is what it is.
Yeah. So I do a lot of like marketing trends research, and there'd be like this girl who has 2 million followers on Instagram. She gets a few 100,000 likes per post and stuff like that. So one day she says, I'm going to make a clothing line. Oh my gosh, look at her followers. Look how many eyes and views she has on her stuff. And she posts this. She's like, everybody, like, it's up for pre-sale. Go and order it. Nobody ordered anything. And it's like, well, the thing is, you're an influencer, but everybody kind of knows you're an influencer now. Like that whole market of influencing isn't as genuine as what it used to be. So like a company would pay you, like, you know, say Rocco would come and pay you and be like, oh, to talk about the law firm and stuff like that. It's one thing to be a sponsor of a show, but it's another thing to be like, slide us in there as much as you can.
Yeah, entrenched in.
Yeah. And so like people see that now, because before they'd be like, oh, well, what is she talking about? Let's go research it. And now it's more, well,
you're suspect.
Yeah. Like you're just using that. How much did you get paid to say that? Mm-hmm. And then it's like, well, I don't really want to, I don't believe in the product that you're selling. So there's definitely, I don't even want to call them influencers. There's people out there who have a big following, and when they say something like, oh my gosh, SMBs are fantastic.
Yeah,
I love this microphone.
Like The Rock or the Kardashians. Like they say something and money just follows into them, right?
Kind of, but even on the more like techie side, you know, you can talk about cameras, and it's like,
all right, what's that one kid, MK Marcus Brownlee?
Yes, like
I
he's
followed him
fantastic.
for years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And he'll be the one he'll tell you straight up.
Yeah.
He might show
Flossie Carter. You familiar with Flossie Carter?
No, I'm not.
Oh yeah, you look up to him. Not the same popularity, but he's from. He does his New York style, and it's pretty gritty, but he's very popular.
But like, they're the ones who you trust in what they're saying and selling because they've become experts in their market. They're not just gonna. If he suddenly said, "Hey, this is the best, T-shirt I've ever bought," you'd be like,
"Yeah,
I'm not buying that."
Yeah.
But if he said, "Hey, this is the best film camera," or "This is the best phone," you'd be like,
"There's credentials there.
I'm gonna look into that."
Got it. They're trusted.
100%. But that's where like the influencer market of like, you're just like sex sells, and to the point when they actually try and sell something, and you're like, "Yeah, I'm not buying that."
So we're fickle with our dollar when it comes to fame.
Yeah,
that's interesting. Like sometimes I think The Rock can sell anything. He can put his logo, his little bull logo on things and sell anything. And he Terramana, he can sell anything.
I think if it's his like branding and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna start selling beer," you're like, "Oh, I'm gonna buy The Rock's beer." Because I would love to know what it's like.
Yeah. Okay.
B, it probably has some sort of like jacked juice in it.
Yeah. People generally like. I think too, it's a likability thing too.
100%.
Right?
Yes. So it's like, but at the same time, if you wanted to make your own beer, people who follow the show would be like, "Oh, I want to try that beer."
Yeah.
I'd try that beer.
Right on. Maybe I should make beer. I don't drink, but maybe I'll try to do it.
But like, you could easily have some sort of, a local brewery or something like that.
Absolutely.
And that's such an easy market. But if you've never tapped into like some sort of partnership with anybody,
right,
they'd be like, "What? I don't know if
that's
I buy
very
into
interesting. You mentioned that too. I just noticed that one of the bands I grew up with, Rush, they're actually starting to make an ale now. They're done performing. Now they're making beer, and it was so successful in Canada. They're now announcing they're bringing it to the States. So there's an example of like, I'm sure the fan base initially, but someone must be digging the product because they keep buying. It's a consumable, right?
Yeah, but it's like, is it great?
It's good enough.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's good enough. It's good enough, but then you can also be like, "Hey, I have Rush Ale," and somebody would be like, "Dude, that's sick." Like, I would probably be like, "Yeah, that's sick. I'm not trying."
Yeah. It's interesting.
Like, I mean, I just drink beer. That's like all I do. Like, that is my own personal choice. Like, nothing else. But if like, I don't know, some band were to be like, "Hey, man, we made our own beer," I'd be like, "Oh, dude, I'll definitely try that."
Yeah.
Now you have one sale.
Yeah, and probably a multitude of people feeling the exact same way, and we'll do the same thing.
And there's also a difference of like supporting, like people that you know and trust, rather than being like, "Oh, you're a blind entity that I follow on Instagram."
Okay, to that end, what about all of these advertisements in regards to people teaching you how to do this and making money this way and doing and there's so much of this self-instruction stuff going on.
I can't remember what they're called.
And there's multi-level marketing
courses,
with it, but courses and it's nuts. Like, some guy could be telling you on Instagram that he's been able to make all this money doing affiliate marketing, but he really is just trying to resell someone else's course who's just trying to resell someone else's course. He could be 5 down the chain, not the originator of the course, but the illusion is it's their course.
It's like a new version of multi-level marketing. Like you're saying.
Kids are falling for that now.
I actually shot a master class, that's what they call it, like a course.
Yes. Well, there was an actual company, right, that was
there
doing
is a master. Yeah,
but
and
now there's so many copycats now. It's
but
insane.
That's the thing about like master classes. They hire, like, Steven Spielberg has a master class on, like Aaron Sorkin has one on writing.
Legitimacy to those, right?
It's Gordon Ramsay has one about cooking. Like, those are all like professionals in their industry that I totally trust. Yeah. And even, I'm gonna walk away from it being like, I ain't gonna cook as good as Gordon Ramsay. But at least I got 11 videos and he showed me how to,
of course,
make buttered bread.
Yeah. But now that word masterclass is just being abused.
Yeah. So like, and coursework became the easiest turnover of, you could shoot a lot of it very fast and then it just lives in perpetuity for a while.
It's a good business model.
So if you wanted to make a real estate course, you say, all right, here's 11 episodes.
I'm inundated all day long on my Instagram feed because it's pegged me as a realtor, right? So I'm getting, the algorithm is spitting all these. I mean, some of these people.
Here's how to sell your first house. Here's how to get business.
When I started researching a little bit, some of these folks aren't nothing to do with the real estate industry. They're just reselling a program.
Yep.
5 or 7 deep already. Like their person resold it, and the person before resold it. It's just. I mean, it's terrible. A young agent could really fall for that, though.
So that's the same thing with video. And like somebody even was like, Matt, why don't you make a course about how to like make a video production company? And I was like, yeah, I don't want to do that. And they're like, well, why not? And I was like, because I don't want to do that. I'm like, most everything that I do is very quietly and it's very networked. Mm-hmm. So, and I remember from film school, it was probably senior year. We had this communications class.
Okay.
And so we show up the first day of class and they were like, all right, everybody, what's the one thing you want to get out of this class? This is what the teacher asked. He was like, here's kind of the topics. What topic would you like to hit the most? And almost everyone in the class was like networking. Now, mind you, I had already worked on Warrior.
Right.
Like I was already on a big Hollywood movie production at this time. So I was like, I know a little bit about networking. I didn't say networking. I don't think I actually said anything. But at the end, my thesis for that class was how this was before like smoking was horrible and everybody stopped smoking cigarettes. I don't even smoke
When
anymore.
did that happen?
2011. And I was like,
demonized it.
My thesis was about how smoking cigarettes was one of the best networking tools that I had.
I get it. You're out. Yeah, you're out there with other smokers.
It takes you out of the element.
Right.
So like if we're sitting here and if you're on tour and you're doing music the whole time,
right?
And like both me and you, I'm a drum tech, you're a guitar tech, and like, listen, when we go to smoke a cigarette, we don't want to talk about drums and guitar. So I'd be like, man, like what'd you do this week? And you'd be like, oh, I went fishing. Guess what? We're now going to connect over fishing.
That's a great point.
And like I wrote an entire thesis about this because that's how I networked on the movies.
Right.
I was like, because I smoked cigarettes because also we were in this blacked out the event center in Pitt. Yeah, for 45 days.
Okay.
So the only time you got to see the light of day was when you smoked cigarettes.
Right.
So I had like camera department people coming up to me being like, hey, Matt, you want to go grab a smoke? And other people would be like, how does he know who you are?
Yes, that's great.
Like you're a little 18, 19-year-old kid.
That's great.
And this like dude in the industry just asked you if you wanted to grab a smoke. And I'm like, oh, dude, we were talking about the housing market. Right, I know about his family in Colorado. Like,
of course, man. And I think that's a very misunderstood tactic to find commonality.
Yes. And it was one of the biggest, like, break down the barrier of what this is. So like that crushed it. And that's what, like, you can't teach that. So if I had a course, I was like, how am I supposed to teach? So like, yeah, go to a set and smoke cigarettes and find somebody else who smokes cigarettes and be their friend.
Yeah, it's almost like that's almost a human discovery.
And that's
right.
Yeah.
Experience discovery.
100%. And like, I like to think that I'm a very extroverted introvert.
Okay.
Like, if you follow me on any social medias, I don't really post what I do.
Right.
I mean, I've had people who I've been friends with for like 2 years come up to me and be like, Matt, what the fuck is your job? And I'm like,
I envy that.
And it's because I'm like, oh, well, I just, I shoot videos, I shoot commercials, I direct them and stuff like that. And they're like, yeah, because we just see you traveling all over the place, just doing bullshit. I spent 2 months in Italy last year.
Yeah, that's tough.
And I'm like,
what part of Italy?
All over.
Nice.
Did Como, Venice,
good for you.
Tuscany, Amalfi. Oh, I was everywhere.
There's some great photo opportunities in Amalfi Coast.
Dude, I shot some amazing stuff over there. But like, and that's where people are like, what the fuck are you doing in here? I don't even think I posted one photo from over there. I just was like, every day I'd like post a quick story of like where I was.
Yeah, you don't feel compelled to share that stuff?
No, because it's like people who know. No.
Yeah, I understand.
Like if you were
the
to reach out to
marketing
me,
part of it.
but it's like if you were to reach out to me and
You're
be
keeping
like,
your portfolio private.
oh, it's not even that. It's like, not saying I don't know who my audience is, but it's like,
Is your audience really on there though?
No.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
So like
the thing. Yeah.
I'm like my Facebook is 90% like family members.
Yeah, no,
like,
I totally
like 800
get that.
Facebook friends, and I'm like, most of them are family members and like friends from, I don't know, high school who I like.
No.
They're like, Matt, you coming to the high school reunion? I'm like, no.
Yeah, and we'll have some talks. We're definitely going to talk after we're done here today about the real estate angle too. But it's the thing about my industry that bothers me is that it's really at this point in 2023 a little heavy on shallow messaging. If it makes any sense.
I know so many video people now who dive into real estate.
I believe it.
Like they're like, oh man, I got all these real estate clients and stuff like that. Like that's my biggest, and I'm like, that's cool. If that's and they'll like show it, and they'll showcase it, and then I'm like, if that's the audience and the clientele that you want, show that off. I'm like, I also can't show my work because if I were to want to get a healthcare company and I'm showing that I shot a music video with like a hardcore band, they'd be like,
Of course. Yeah, no.
So I'm like, you know what? I just won't show anything.
No, I get it completely. Yeah, we're and again, it sounds like it's the old crusty guy just complaining about life, but it really isn't that.
I'm a young crusty guy.
I've watched what's happened the last decade, just with the technology improvements, the way social, especially Instagram primarily, how that's grabbed a lot of the public in regards to the delivery method of these ads, and it's sad in some respects because, and from my perspective, is that you really, with slick marketing and some really well-made videos, could be presenting yourself as a uber experienced, dynamic, successful person in a certain field, and all of that could be an absolute abject lie.
So you're saying,
and we don't vet things out enough as consumers today.
Yep.
A lot of people fall for that shit.
So you're saying pull up in a Mercedes, jump out of the car with a drone shot, walk through the house, and then,
a house that's not even your listing.
Nope.
That you've never had a listing like that.
And you can totally say that this is your listing, blah, blah, blah. And guess what? Somebody's going to see that and they're going to be like, dang, that's your listing? I bet you could sell my house.
Yeah. And again, I won't knock the advertising because obviously it works.
I get it that it works.
But there's a level of credibility that I'm uncomfortable with. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I know during the course of my years, of doing realty, I'm a guerrilla marketer. I did something called, I put a sign on all my listings that said free tacos with purchase of a house, and it went viral and all that stuff. It was great.
That's amazing.
And most of the people were cool with it. Yeah, that went, but you did it for a year and then you stop because you don't want to, I mean, I get it. It was great. And I'm okay for creative stuff. I just find so much lacking integrity. And again, I want to present myself in an appropriate professional way. I want to drive a decent car that represents who I am. Mm-hmm. You want to look the part. Get it. I totally am. I'm on board. 1,000%. It's when it comes down to the ability to do the job, the skills involved and the techniques and the genuine reputation of the person. When that is being misconstrued in any kind of advertising, the consumer loses. We're more gullible today as consumers than we were before the social
100%.
media. We really were skeptical of fucking everything before that.
Are we dumber?
We're definitely more gullible.
My parents would always be like, don't believe everything on the internet. Now I get sent articles that are like, Bill Nye's been arrested for drug dealing. And I'm like, Mom, come on. Like, are you kidding me? Like, Internet 101, mother.
Yeah.
Like, remember, don't we?
Are we just have too much inputs?
Like,
we're getting hit with too many inputs. We can't discern them anymore.
I mean, there's even just... It's like a satire site that you read the headline that says, hey, we're a fucking satire site.
Babylon Bee, right?
It doesn't even matter who it is because they won't read that. They read the clickbait headline. They're like, oh my gosh, did you see that? The goats are floating out in Indiana. And you're like...
And then that gets proliferated all of a sudden and then almost culturally becomes, in that moment, fact.
So a few years ago, this was like, I don't know, over 10 years ago, there was this saying that people were taking shits in bags and then huffing the shit.
Oh, come on, dude.
And it was a joke, right? And so they called it like the human waste drug, where people would get like high off of their shit in a bag that like fermented. It was totally like not a real thing. And news company, like news started running it. And they're like, yeah, they're talking about the new human waste drug. You better watch out for your kids like shitting in bags and huffing it. And you're like, I'm sorry.
I'm not surprised at all.
You better watch your kid pooping in. Did you flush that turd? Don't stick it in your pocket. But that's the news. They want some sort of like clickbaity thing, and they ran with it. They ran hard with it. Everything that they do, they like run hard with some stuff that you're like, did you really look that up? Or
think about this. What about the traditional levels of fame in the pre-internet society we had? You know, it was sports figures, but generally the big one was Hollywood, or TV, but always Hollywood, right? Yeah. That was kind of like the thing. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine like now? I mean, like the lure to be an actor, a world-renowned actor, it can't really hold the same kind of weight that it did prior, right?
Well, because you have to be an actor and also like an influencer on social media. You can't just be
marketing
like,
company.
You can't just be like an actor who's then like, oh, I've got Tiffany over here who runs my social media. But what?
Doesn't work, man.
Like, you don't just get to set one day and you like pop a selfie and you're like, working on Batman 5. Like, no.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if you take the top 10 super Uber ones, they can get away with that. But everybody below them still can't sell it like they used to sell it.
No. Well, somebody even said, like, I don't know, that there's not, like, movie stars necessarily isn't a thing anymore.
Hollywood's not a thing anymore.
I mean, Hollywood.
I don't think.
Not really a thing anymore.
I mean, California's still California.
Yeah.
But it's a pretty
but it's also
fucked
like
up place, but right now. But
when people talk about, who's this actor? And they're like, Chris Hemsworth. You know who he is.
Mm-hmm. I know who he is.
When he was cast as Thor and Tom Hiddleston was cast as Loki, mm-hmm. There's an entire article that's like, who are they getting these no-namers to play these roles? Like, that's never going to fly. And now you're like, that dude could be in any movie and everybody knows who he is.
Yep. 100%.
So it's like, was Marvel the deciding factor of that, or was his star power? And it's like, well,
which is basically his social media presence.
You can't even leverage that. I mean, he does a ton of other stuff too. Yeah. He's got his own like fitness company. He's got his own like this, and he has his TV show on like Disney about like, I don't know, enduring crazy bodily stuff. Mm-hmm. I didn't watch it, but I know that he then decided that he was going to step away from acting like a few months ago. And I'm like, but you're still a movie star?
Mm-hmm.
Because you can still be a movie star without ever playing a role for the next 5 years, as long as you have social media.
Absolutely. And you know,
if Pierce Brosnan wasn't in a movie for like 6 years, everybody would forget. And then he comes back and everybody would go see that movie. Uh-huh. Even Johnny Depp was one of the like, I'd say Johnny Depp and like Tom Cruise.
He looks like he's got to be my age probably. He looks like he's 80. Yeah. I mean, really, I feel bad about that. I mean, I don't feel bad for his life. He owns it. But I mean, like, his visual appearance is shocking.
Yeah. It'll get you, Hollywood, man.
Oh, loose women will get you in Hollywood. It's a joke. I don't want to get canceled. Yeah. Does TV create stars anymore? Not at the pace that it did years prior.
Like, all right, so I've never watched Game of Thrones.
I've never seen it either. We're probably the only two people standing on a planet who haven't.
But I do know Emilia Clarke. She's like a big name actress now because she was in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I get it. Oh, yeah. I mean, but yeah, so TV.
She played like a very high role. Same thing with the guy who played Jon Snow.
Wait, Jon Snow, isn't that?
He was also like
Keanu
Game of
Reeves.
Thrones. No, it was not Keanu Reeves. He was in Game of Thrones. I don't know the guy's actual name.
Okay.
But I feel like they were the two main Game of Thrones. In my head, I don't know anything about Game of Thrones, but those are the only
those two.
I know those two.
Yeah,
And
society.
it'd be one of those things. They're like, "Oh my gosh, the blah 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 guy from Game of Thrones," and I'm like, I don't know who that is.
Huh.
But people would go out and watch said movie because he's in it.
So a client comes to you and says, "Okay, we want a marketing plan to do this. We have a budget of this." What's the first question you ask them?
I normally don't ask questions. I will go through and figure out who they are, and then I'll normally figure out what the best thing for them is. So even if you come to me and say like, "This is what I want to do," I'd be like, "Hey, if you're 100% set on that, we'll do that."
Okay.
But if not, here's some other options that like I have looked at into, and like the biggest thing today is personality, because you yourself are a brand.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knows that. Like, I'm a brand. You're a brand. Everybody, like Matt Spencer. When you think of Matt Spencer, what do you think?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not necessarily selling who I am, but it's having that trust. So like some big corporate, like let's take a banking company. So it's one thing if the banking company says, we want to talk about how we give small business loans out. And if you show me their CEO, and the CEO's sitting in a chair and he's like, "Come on down, we got small business loans. We helped out all these mom and pop shops and blah, blah, blah." That's not going to make you want to go down there. You're now looking at a dude in a tower. Right. Now, if I go to a mom and pop shop, like a bakery, and they talk about how that company made a small business loan, make this happen, or help them carry through COVID, or, something like that, more people would be like, "Oh, I now have a face to that tower." Like, I don't want to hear from the guy in the nice suit who drives the Mercedes. And we were talking about like image and stuff like that. I've done work with companies who have been like, the production house owner drives like a really nice car. So are we paying for his nice car, or are we paying for like a good product and a production?
I bet.
They're like, his car is nicer than our car and we're giving him the money. Where's it going?
Yeah, I mean, I think real estate clients have expressed that to me over the years. I have never driven a crazy exotic car because of that reason. There's been a couple I've wanted in my prior years, but it wasn't going to land well.
Yeah,
it wasn't a smart buy for the career that I'm in.
Like, that's picture you selling cars in like a Lamborghini, and I get it if it's like Hollywood and they're like, "Oh yeah,
this is southwestern PA, and I could be in Mount Lebanon or Upper St. Clair or Sewickley, but I also could be down, nothing to say it, but I could be down the rocks or down in the city or something. I have to be, and I go everywhere. I have to be appropriate, and I think that appropriateness, is lost.
It totally is
on some.
So like, I am a very simple person. Like, I am the least materialistic person that I know. I have 3 pairs of shoes. One of them is running shoes.
Just purchased recently, by the way.
And I drive a minivan because it fits all of my gear in it. My kids don't even go in it. And I have a lot of kids. And everybody's like, "Oh, is this for all the kids?" They're like, "Is this for all the kids?" And I'm like, "No, it's actually my work van."
Right.
But then, like, I wear normally plain T-shirts and...
But that's who you are.
But that's who I am.
You're authentic.
Yeah, because I'm like, I don't need to buy some, I don't know, this is from like Target. It's probably like $15.
It's a nice shirt.
This is literally a $5 shirt from H&M.
I get it.
But I get it. That's just, I'm like, I don't care about those things.
Yeah, there's not enough of that today.
No.
In our society in general.
I'm like, because I put my money in like my cameras, my gear, my stuff to like reinvest it in things that I like, and like
that's more part of your identity.
Totally. So that's the reason I have 5 cameras in my backpack.
I brought 5 cameras with him. I felt pretty humbled. He brought 5 cameras in the Boogie Street Studio. Pretty good.
I'll fly the drone around the room.
All right. But that would be nuts. Will you really? Just don't break
it. It can't go far.
Can you do a figure 8 through these lights?
Oh God. Those very tight lights. But like, I see people who are like, "Yeah, I spent like $300 in this pair of pants," and it's like bedazzled and ripped, and I'm like, did your dog eat them?
Yeah.
And they're like, man, these are designer. And I'm like, I don't.
And I definitely never begrudge anybody things they dig. If that's truly something that
100%.
turns you on,
That's the difference. Is I
but
feel
do it
like,
for you as
like
opposed to you're doing it because you need a reaction out of somebody else.
I feel like people don't do it for them.
Oh, I think that's an age-old problem with all of us. I mean, everybody's guilty to some degree. Maybe not him, but most people are guilty to some degree. Well, when I became a realtor,
I wish there was something that I thought was cool that I had. I was like, oh, this is so cool.
If we drove down far enough, we'd find something.
It'd take a while.
We'd find something. But I remember deciding to be a realtor after all those years in corporate and all those years with Boogie Street. This is a big change. What do realtors wear?
Yeah.
Because I don't like wearing monkey suits. I'm not much on suits in general. Blazer is not my thing. Am I going to make it? I had a company tell me I couldn't wear it. I mean, I had a company, a very big brokerage in this town said, Eric, you'll never make it unless you have a tie and you cannot wear denim. And I'm like, well, I'm at the wrong brokerage. Because that's all I wear is a denim.
Yeah.
And whether it's a suit jacket or whether it's a T-shirt, I'm not going to change who I am. And it may take me, you're right, it may take me a little longer to grow the practice because of it, but I'll get there.
But you'll do it the way that you want it.
Yeah. And that's not a hard concept. I think there's a lot of realtors that do exactly that, but there's a lot of, and again, I'm being very specific to my industry, but there's a lot of misunderstanding of the public when it comes to how we're viewed.
Yeah.
Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
I think.
No, that makes sense.
I don't know. I mean,
shoot, I'm a content creator.
Yeah, you would be dialed into that.
So it's like I could look at some kid who just graduated, who went to Best Buy and spent $400.
Oh, I did this,
and we're in the same league right now.
Well, the running joke was that when I would go to these other brokers,
he's got a Supreme T-shirt on that he spent $400 on, and people would be like, "Man, that dude," and I'd be like, you know what? Hire him. Just hire him.
He's got a $300 T-shirt.
Hire him. Mine was $5.
But you know what the thing is about that superficialness? I always would say if I lost a piece of business to someone that was portraying themselves as something that they're not, I just smile and go on my way because that customer probably wasn't a good fit for me anyway.
100%.
Yeah.
Like if you don't value that, then that's okay. And I also don't value you.
Yeah.
But that is totally. And I mean, that's the look that they wanted. That's what they wanted to feel. Maybe that's what made them feel comfortable.
Yeah.
But I get it. There's some looks that for certain jobs. I did a big shoot for a healthcare company in like Eastern PA. And so I always wear like button up shirts and stuff like that. And we're on the Scout. And I went to go shake the lady's hand, and as I like shook her hand, my hand stretched out, and like she could see my tattoos, and she like scoffed at them. And the whole rest,
are you kidding me?
The whole rest of the Scout day, like we're looking at the operating room, we're looking at all these other rooms, and she's asking, and she would not.
May I ask the age? Guess ballpark.
I mean, she's probably like 20 years older than me.
Okay.
So like, I don't know, but not that much older than me. But it might have just been like the area that we were in. It was more, it was like central Eastern PA. So it was like,
okay.
And she gave me this look of like grossness.
Wow.
And I'm like, well, I'm about to like be your DP for tomorrow. I'm doing your cinematographer. Like we're going to do this whole thing. And so we went the whole day. She didn't talk to me. She kind of like just talked to the producer.
Wow.
And until we were sitting down we were literally eating ice cream.
Okay.
Because the last stop was this ice cream shop that we were going to go shoot at. And we're having ice cream and everybody's talking about their animals, dogs, back to like, and everybody's flipping through their photos of like, oh, this is my dog. This is my dog. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. It's like, I'm going to bust out a picture of my dog and my, at the time, 5 kids and my wife. And it's our Christmas card with my American bulldog in the middle of it.
Good for you.
So I'm like, oh yeah, this is a picture of my dog. And like she grabbed it. Oh my, are those your kids? I was like, yeah, those are my kids. She was like, is that? I was like, oh yeah, that's my wife. Yeah, we've been married for 10 years and blah, blah, blah. And like her entire demeanor of me changed.
Of course.
So the next day we show up for set and she's like so excited to see me. And she gives me like, the good old like French kiss of like, oh, it's so great. She left like a lipstick smear on my face. and I left it there the entire day. Hair and makeup artist came over to me and tried to wipe it off. I was like, Matt, we should get that. I was like, don't touch it. Yeah. I was like, because every time she looks over at me, I want her to remember that she judged me.
Good for you.
And it was like one of those things that like, man, I've never felt like judged because of like tattoos before.
Do you think that's changing?
I mean, I
hope so.
And I thought it was, but this was only like, I don't know, 5 years ago, which might not seem like that much, but it was such a weird thing that I'm like, wow, you were like appalled by it.
Yeah. Tattoos, I think, in some piercings aren't even like, I mean, I don't think anyone's surprised by that. Now, some of the body modification stuff is still a little unsettling out there.
Sure.
I mean, maybe that'll be mainstream someday. There's always different levels of all that stuff, but yeah.
But it's like you could have somebody with like full sleeves and
that's the thing.
In an operating room, and I'm like, cool.
Yeah, what does that really? Yeah, I get it. It's a changing time, but it's it does say something about society in general, and not good. We're still very superficial creatures, I believe.
So that's where it comes back to this is how you have to look. This is how, if you want, like, it's superficial. So if you want to.
Well, I had to. So it was the big broker in this town. They might have the color green in their logo. I don't know. The training was amazing. To some of the staff, they're fantastic, but it was just a culture difference. And it wasn't right or wrong. I did not view what they were telling me as being wrong, because in their eyes, they built a big model, and that model must work for them. Mm-hmm. A little rigid, but it wasn't going to work for me. And I could discern between the difference between, hey, it's just a matter of a different philosophy, as opposed to they're trying to do something to me and change me. No, it was just different philosophy. Age will make you a little more wise in that regard, I think. But it really did teach me something, that if you want something bad enough, you'll find a way of doing it. And if you want to go purely your own way, it may take you a little longer. But if you want it, and that's a great lesson for kids. The kids aren't given enough that lesson, I don't believe either.
No, they're not.
I don't know.
But that's also because there's kids out there making millions of dollars at 14 years old because they sit in front of a computer all day.
Yeah, how much of that really is going on, though?
There's a decent amount.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, there's like a kid who, might have been like a few years ago.
Okay.
Who like won the Fortnite championship or something like that. Like esports is a huge thing.
EA Sports?
No, esports.
Oh, wait. Esports is a sport?
Yep. In like colleges, they're like, come to Pitt.
Is that kind of like golf and race car driving, or is
it's kind of like video gamers.
Okay.
And then like a college has an esports team.
Oh, get the fuck out of here.
100%. Yeah.
Colleges have esport teams.
Oh my God, yes. Oh, that's a huge thing.
I've never heard of it.
Well, when we finish this up.
Yeah, that's pretty horrific to me.
So they have esports teams. So like kids can literally just sit there and sink all their time away. Like picture your kids going out playing basketball all night long, and you'd be like, stop shooting hoops all day. Would you ever say that? You'd be like, no, man, you're out there shooting hoops. You're like having fun.
It's physical exercise, right?
Yeah, but it also could build a career if he gets really good at shooting ball.
Of course.
But esports, your kid sits there and plays video games all day. Like, at what point do you say, like, hey, cut the shit? But kid wins a few $1 million.
Yeah, now there's a pushback.
And, there's Twitch
but
streamers
it is kind
out there.
of sedentary. Like, there's that's not happening, right? That could be a negative to it, health-wise.
Oh, 100% health-wise. It's not a good thing. I don't play video games at all.
Yeah, it's out of it never appealed to me. My kids dig it, but...
Yeah, it's like one of those things that, like, I don't necessarily watch TV because I always like to be doing something like actively. If I sit down for 20 minutes, I don't know, like scroll through a few things and be like, I don't really feel like sitting here for the next hour, and I'll go clean and rearrange the entire garage.
Oh, that I believe you. Well, my latest thing now is when I sit and I actually decide, hey, I think it's been a couple months, I'm gonna watch a movie. Instead of watching a movie, I will watch about 30 trailers, and then I'll fall asleep.
Yep.
That's my new
You're
movie.
like, I totally
movie
killed
time. Yeah, I watched like
45 minutes of looking at what to watch.
I watched 33-minute movies. It was fantastic.
Yeah. So the only time I watch TV is when I fly on planes.
Oh, they have you captive there, buddy.
100%. So I like get my iPad and I download the shows that I'm going to watch, and I pick like one show, and whether that show's currently running or like over, I make sure that there's enough time so that when I land, I have like filled that time.
Yeah.
Best show that I've watched in a while was Severance on Apple TV. It's amazing. It's probably the best.
Is it a series?
Yeah. It's
recommended.
Season 2 comes out soon.
Severance.
Yes, you should watch it.
Maybe I will.
It's an amazing like moral sci-fi, not really sci-fi, kind of like a little bit sci-fi.
Okay.
But I watched that last Easter when I was doing a bunch of jobs, and I couldn't get to the plane fast enough.
Really?
Because I just wanted to sit down and like watch what happened next. And
yeah.
But I was like, when I'm home, I don't want to just sit.
Well, you have 6 children.
But I mean, I would rather watch one of their shows.
Yeah, I'm pretty good right now with my grandson watching. I've learned a lot from Coco Melon.
Good Lord.
I never thought that I would say this.
Coco Melon is the worst show ever.
Well, yeah, he's only like 11 months.
If you get a chance.
But I learned all the acoustic guitar parts of that now.
Turn him on to Bluey.
That'll probably be next.
Bluey is like one of the best. And this is coming from like every single one of my kids, including me and my wife, will gladly sit down and watch an episode of Bluey.
Bluey.
It's an Australian kids show.
Okay.
And it is like
the same people that brought us the Wiggles.
No, dude, these guys, this fucking Wiggles.
That's what my kids are raised on.
Yeah, right.
The Bear in the Big Blue House, the Wiggles, and Dora the Explorer.
Yep. Well, Bluey is like for adults and kids.
Oh, right on. That's actually smart.
It's a very interesting show. It became like one of our whole family's favorites. So like normally before bed we'll watch an episode of Bluey before everybody
Bluey.
Yeah.
All right, no, I had to take a look at that.
It's I had this sticker that I keep in my backpack, and it's this unicorn. And it's literally says, "Why should I care?"
Wait, what?
Yeah, it's man, I'll show you the episode.
All right,
but it's like mom and dad, and they have like very real mom and dad problems.
Okay.
Like dad comes home from work and he's exhausted, so he's like, it's like real shit.
So it's not like Coco Melon.
No, not at all.
Coco Melon.
Good Lord, I couldn't.
I
think I watched one episode and I was like, we're burning Coco Melon to the ground.
I have a standing desk in my little office off the living room, and I think I have ingested hours upon hours of that in the background, and I grabbed my acoustic and I figured, okay, I'm just going to go ahead and play all the songs with the kid. It was.
You'll even love the intro, the theme song for Bluey is amazing. Like the whole show is fantastic. But yeah, so like I don't watch TV when I'm home because I'd rather just be doing something else, working or just working on the house. I have to be doing something. There's not a time that I just sit and do nothing. And then if I'm on the road, the only time is if I'm flying. And I drive a lot of places too. But even on, I'll drive to Chicago a lot, and I normally schedule phone calls the entire way out.
Yeah, it's smart. It's smart. You multitask. Plus, boring. Just driving's boring as shit.
People are like, "Oh, where are you?" And I'm like, I don't know, halfway across Ohio or Indiana somewhere. But
boring drive.
This is a 1.5 hour conference call that we're on.
There's Dayton. Oh, next up, Fort Wayne.
Yep. South Bend.
South Bend. Not Fort Wayne. South Bend. Yeah. I've driven to Chicago so many times.
It's exactly. I actually know that road pretty darn well.
Yeah, you can get a lot of work done. At least it's flat for the most part.
It's flat and straight. It's flat and straight. So I'm like, I don't feel bad at all. People are like, you looking at the slides? And my phone's just on the dash. And I'm like, yeah, I see it. It's good.
Before we wrap up, what's your thoughts on, are we ever going to figure out the fact that we're all kind of in this planet trying to figure this out together, and we got to quit bitching with each other, fighting each other? You see any hope in that?
Oh, as much as I would love to say yes, there's too many people who thrive off of fear-mongering and negativity.
Okay.
I don't mean that in a mean way. I mean, it's just like, I mean, my parents do it.
Yeah.
My parents send me those articles that are like, cats are dropping dead. And you're like, no, there's like 4 cats who died. I don't know. But like, just the way that the internet is so like clickbaity these days.
Yeah.
And like, you can't, oh God, I hate saying like you can't trust the news, but it's not that at all. Like, oh my God, I read the news from multiple sources every single night.
You have to.
But I like, sometimes my wife stands on my shoulder and she's like, what is the good news today?
You have to just find and discern.
Yeah, I'm like, all right.
Between the two lies and figure out they meet in the middle somewhere, right?
But there's so much of this, like, I don't know, people are just like at each other's throats for reasons that I'm like, why?
Don't make any sense.
Like, do you want the betterment of people, or do you just want like control of people?
Mm-hmm.
Well, like personally, I don't give a shit.
Yeah, I think the power thing is.
Did you ever watch House of Cards?
No.
The opening dialogue from House of Cards was like, everything in life is about power, or everything in life is about sex, except for sex. Sex is about power.
I believe it.
And I was like, I think it took me like a few months after I watched that, and I was like, oh shit.
Broke your brain.
I was like, yeah, because I mean, half the people do shit just like specifically for sex, but there's power, and like, okay. I was like, I believe it.
You think we're drunk on illusion?
Oh, 100% I think we are. I think, well, I mean, I don't think I am. I think a lot of people are. I think there's a lot of people who think that everybody's out to get them.
Where'd that come from? I mean, the whole world's paranoid.
I don't know where that came from. News cycle, 24/7 news cycle. I think that's actually one of the biggest killers.
That's hurt us. It's unnecessary.
No, yeah, 100%.
I mean,
it's like
noon, 6 and 11, right?
Tell me when something happens that's actually like important, but there's so much.
Well, it's entertainment now.
It is.
Sit on the couch and wait for the breaking news.
Wait for the breaking news. So it's like anytime that there's like another shooting or something like that. I have tons of friends in UK, and every time there's a shooting, they always text me. And they text me every day. And I'm like,
yeah.
And they're like, what the fuck are you guys doing? And I'm like, I don't know. We love guns more than we love anything else. I don't own a gun. I've never shot a gun. I'm like, I don't know. But I've also worked with people who I've actually done jobs with, like military people.
Yeah.
Who, when I tell them that I've never shot a gun, they're like, we got to get you a gun right now. We got to go to the range and we got to shoot it. And I'm like, dude, I'm good. Like, I promise you I'm good. And he's like, no, you don't know what it's like.
A similar reaction too.
Like, you don't know what it's like when you pull the trigger. And I'm like, it's probably something like when I pulled the trigger on a Nerf dart and I shoot a Coke can. They're like, no, man, the power behind it. And I'm like,
see, it's that power thing again.
And yeah, it is. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm good. I don't need power.
Yeah, it's really funny too, because I have family out of the country, and their countries and their people find many reasons to either emulate us or envy us. But there's also a lot of things they scratch their head at that makes just no sense. And when you get them talking, I kind of in agreement with them.
Oh, 100%.
On a lot of this shit, you know?
Hence why I spent 2 months in Italy, and the whole time I'm like, this is fucking amazing. Mm-hmm. I had
the real food over there. You know?
Oh, it's like the fact that there's mom and pop shops everywhere. That's all there is.
Yeah.
There's no Target, there's no Walmart, Costco, anything like that. Like, you're like, I'm making this dish tonight. I have to go down and meet Eric to get his lemons.
Absolutely.
To make my things. And then I'm going to go to
different culture.
And that's it. You don't
slower
go to
slower life.
But the other thing is, like, if you we met these ladies who run a Parmesan factory. They make big Parmesan wheels. And she's like, we make 6 a day. If we sell all 6, we're done for the day. Mm-hmm. We only make 6. I'm like, well, you know. So she's like, we could make 6 and sell it to one guy for all 6 wheels. And she's like, we'll close up shop and we're done for the day. We can go hang out. But we also might sell like 3, and then we got to part some out, and then we got to do this. And it's like, yeah, that might take us till like the longer.
Priorities are all different.
And it's like,
money's not the hierarchy either.
Money is not the hierarchy.
Generally.
No, it's like, it's pretty all well around. Like, everybody's just like, listen, I need to make X to survive and live the way that I want. So that means that I only need to make 6 Parmesans. They're like, but what if you made 8? You have enough time to make 8. And they're like, yeah, but like, why would I make 8? It's like you go to a restaurant and the restaurant's like, we open at 7 o'clock. And you could call that restaurant and be like, dude, I'll literally give you $1,000 to open like 30 minutes early. And he'd be like, I'm good, man. Like, we're ready to open at 7. And at 7, I've gone into so many restaurants. We went to this place that was like spaghetti and meatballs. It was a little, they're all like little shops. And I go in and I was like, oh man, I really want this, like this dish of meatballs. And the guy goes, we're out of the meatballs. I was like, bro, it's 9 o'clock. You guys open at 7. He's like, yeah, it was one of those days. And I was like, are you going to make any more meatballs? He goes, no. We literally make a plate, like we make a batch of meatballs for the day. And when those meatballs are sold,
that's it. Yeah,
that's it. He's like, but dude, I'll do spaghetti. We'll do this, like anything else you want. And I'm like, I literally came here for the meatballs. And I get it. I'm not even mad. I get it. I'll have the spaghetti. I'll try this too. But it's like, yeah, they're like, dude, we're not going to spend another hour making you fucking meatballs. Like,
yeah, I mean, in that type of lifestyle.
And the thing is, you're not mad.
No, if you're a decent human being, you can see the.
But like in America, we would be like, you guys are fucking out of meatballs? Like, what the fuck am I coming? And you'd be like, bro, if they're out of meatballs, that's because everybody else ate the meatballs. Maybe get here earlier next time. I don't know. I'm not mad about it, but that's also a personality thing.
It is. We're almost looking for things to be upset about, and just so stupid.
So that's where it comes back to like, yes, that's why we're like fear mongering and looking for those like negativity things.
It's a bad activity.
It is.
You know, I don't see the benefit.
And there is no benefit, and you're just like waiting for dread to happen.
Yeah, and that's not a good way to live. And we're in a society with enough abundance and enough technology, you would hope, that would enable you to find some peace with your activities. We don't have to worry about that.
So have you heard of like the people who go on vacation and then they come back and they like they're depressed after the vacation because that was like the highlight of their year.
I think people do it on the weekends.
No, of course. I don't have
Sunday night blues.
I don't have those. I don't even know what those are.
I remember those, but they were decades ago.
Yeah.
But
then like once you start like doing stuff for yourself and you realize that there's like, it opens up this whole side that you're like, oh shit, I don't have to fall in order. I don't have to like hit these norms. And
it's freeing.
Yeah. So one of the things my dad did say after the marathon, because he was a runner growing up, like he was an actual runner.
Okay.
And he was like, Matt, I'll let you know, like when you finish running your marathon, like you might get depressed afterwards. And I like thought about it for a second. I was like, what the fuck would I get depressed? I get it, because for some people that's like a really big feat and they like look forward to it and they like train. You train 8 months and you finally get it and you get your medal and you finished it and you're like, that was it.
It was a purpose. That was her purpose.
Yeah.
That little mini purpose. Yeah.
And then it was like 2 weeks later, he called me up and he's like, hey, how are you feeling? And I was like, fine. I feel like, I don't know. I feel fine. It was like, everything good? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, Dad, I just winged a marathon. Like, there wasn't this like huge like emotional weight that I carried the entire time. I was literally like, what the fuck am I doing? I'm running a marathon. Like, it was that like old guy at mile 16 where I was like, yo, that dude sucks. But it's like, so like I always try and bring like the positivity, and I try and like turn things into this like, you can push past it. Like there's always better stuff. So I try not to live with this like, what can I get upset about, or what is the negativity in the world. I try and think of like, there's so much other good stuff, but we don't talk about that because doesn't get a good response.
Isn't that crazy?
Oh,
it doesn't
100%.
get the response that we attach currency to.
Yes. So
that's the issue.
It's the thing of, I actually read this, it might have been today, but somebody was like, if you're jealous seeing somebody be successful and you think that they're trying to brag, they're just happy. So it's like, if I won an award and I posted me and my award, I'm not bragging. I'm literally excited for myself. about my award, but other people would see that and be like, oh, you're fucking bragging. Like, that's stupid.
Because it's a jealousy thing.
Yeah. And I'm like, but why do you need to be like, why can't we just be happy?
It's like,
and that's how I look at things.
It's like
there's a lot of other directors and production people in Pittsburgh alone, and I'm always like, dude, I'm super stoked that you're doing work. Like, I'm glad that you guys are doing. There's enough business for everybody.
Well, yes, and I think that's
Europeans get that.
They do get that. Like, if you can't be happy for your friends and loved ones when they find their success, that might be the reason why you're not finding it on your own.
Oh, 100%.
You know what I mean?
So also, if you know, over there in like Italy, there's specific foods that they can only make in specific areas.
Okay.
So like Parmigiano Reggiano is only made in this place.
Right.
And like this is made in this, but like Chianti.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's geographic specific.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're next door to each other. Like 3 Chianti factories are all next door to each other. Why haven't they burnt each other down? Because they're like, bro, are you successful?
Yep.
And they're like, yeah, cool. Am I successful? Yeah. And it's not like, dude, I'm more successful. They're like, oh, you're successful and I'm also successful.
Right.
Like,
why is it quantified?
Yes.
Yeah,
like,
it's a culture. It's a culture thing.
It totally is. And over here, it's like, well, I'm going to drive a Ferrari and park it right in front of my thing. And the guy be like, oh, dude, that's a sick Ferrari you just bought. I'd be like, well, where's your Ferrari? Oh, I just didn't want a Ferrari.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't want a Ferrari either. So I'm going to actually return my Ferrari. Like, but here we'd be like, well, I actually just got 2 Ferraris because.
Well, I remember I grew up in the 80s as just getting out of high school, and the biggest thing was he who dies with the most toys wins. And that was a thing. I mean, it's kind of funny.
Yep.
But that was a thing.
Yeah.
And that was an 80s slogan.
That's wild.
So it didn't happen recently. It happened decades ago. He who dies with the most toys wins.
Yeah, I don't get that.
And that's, in many ways, that has.
I'm like, I hope I die with absolutely nothing.
Yeah, that's the smart way to live. Yeah, to divest it all before the government takes it when you're dead.
Yeah, I'd feel bad for my kids being like, oh, we got to go through dad's shit again.
Did you have a good time, man?
Dude, I had a great time.
You want to do this again?
Oh, of course, anytime.
I'll put you on a couple of these panel shows, too.
Oh, yeah.
We
Let me come on with Rocco.
Yeah, I think I'm going to arrange that.
For tonight's show.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We were sharing this off air, too. There's a misconception about the podcast a little bit, and the podcast still is not about a monetary component. Rocco came to us and wanted to help us, and we just decided to cover the cost of doing. His sponsorship covers the cost of doing it. It's not a for-profit venture, and I want to say that publicly because there's been some misconceptions, like that's.
So now you can just
happening.
do it.
Yeah, now we just do it without thinking about it. So very gracious for the generosity of the Cozza Law Group for enabling us to keep doing this. And that's all we wanted from the beginnings. That's why he's the exclusive sponsor. We're not taking any more. We're not looking to monetize this. It's going to remain
You
free
hit your
form.
6 Parmesan cheese.
I hit my 6 Parmesan for the day. Yes, indeed. Great analogy. We'll do this again, my friend.
Of course, man.
Yep. And then if people want to connect with you, the best way to do it is on Instagram.
Yeah, probably.
Instagrams. And what's your Instagram handle?
Spencer the Captain.
Remember. That's right. Spencer the Captain.
Yep.
On Instagram. Thanks, Bo.
Thank you.
All right, friend. All y'all, we're out.